What if we told you that you are actually time traveling right now? Yes, you heard me right. If that is the case, what if aliens might have already visited us sometime in the past? Or what if aliens from the future come and visit us today? How would it change the fate of humanity? The concept of time travel has been popularized by science fiction movies and books, and we have several versions of time travel. Some believe that an advanced time machine could be used to travel to a different point of time, while others believe it's just not going to happen. But aliens that have existed millions of years might have advanced technology already. So, what if they have cracked the code of time travel? Well, that's exactly what we discuss in this video, so keep watching till the end to know a lot more. We are already time traveling by moving forward in time, but some of us are still thinking, what if we could change the rate at which we move forward or backward in time and different moments of history? Time travel is something that we as humans have always been fascinated by. According to the professor of physics, Dr. Andrew Steen of the University of Oxford, it boils down to humanity's desire to explore. Steen said, "Normally to explore anywhere, we have to find suitable clothing and equipment, and it takes a lot of organization. The thought of just being able to jump into a time machine and off you go does sound great. We like the idea of time traveling because if we go back in time, many of us would like to change things to make the future better. And if you travel to the future, you'd want to come back with some wonderful discovery and share it to improve human life. So the desire to time travel is quite a positive fantasy to have. You cannot blame ourselves because we are extremely curious to know who we are, where we come from, and where we might be going in the future. That brings us to the history of time travel. The popular BBC TV series Doctor Who began more than 50 years ago. But Doctor Who wasn't the very first fictional character to deal with time machines, because science fiction has always had some form of time travel. One such example would be the work of author H.G. Wells, who wrote The Time Machine in 1895. Wells is generally credited with coining the term time travel. We also had several other popular TV shows which featured time travel, like BBC's Life on Mars, Ashes to Ashes, and the US series Star Trek. But is time travel even possible? Well, we need to look at the differences between traveling back and traveling forward in time. From a philosophical point of view, we are constantly time traveling because we are moving forward in time, which is why we age in our ordinary lives and we are forever traveling into the future. But the kind of time travel that we are fascinated about is not getting old, but the ability to have access to a future where everyone else is traveling slowly towards. That in theory sounds really great, but is that even possible? Well, we don't have the technology to deal with something like this, but in theory, there might be ways to travel forward in time without using any highly advanced machinery. There are two ways to get this done. The first one would be with the help of cryogenics. If you're new to cryogenics, well, this is a process where someone is frozen after death instead of being buried or cremated. The theory is that they can be woken up in the future when we have the technology to bring them back to life, or if scientists could develop a machine or device that will allow people to age more slowly than others around them. This way, people will live longer and see a future beyond an average person's lifespan. Another way to travel into the future would be similar to what you see in science fiction. This involves using advanced technology like a rocket or spaceship or even a time-traveling machine and using it to travel very high speed, almost at the speed of light. So imagine that you are in a spaceship traveling very fast away from the Earth and you stay in orbit for a year. You age at the same rate as if you were still on the Earth by a year, but when you return, Earth might have aged hundreds of years. As of now, this is way beyond the technology that we have today, but it might be possible in theory. So now it's clear that maybe in the future we could travel forward in time. But what about going backwards in time? Well, this concept in itself creates another philosophical problem. Suppose if you could go back in time and you accidentally killed your grandparents. That would mean that you would never exist in the first place, right? Well, this is called the grandfather paradox. Now, the grandfather paradox is a potential logical problem that would arise if a person were to travel to a past time. This name comes from the idea that if a person travels to a point in time before their grandfather had children and stops this event from happening, it would make their own existence impossible. But this paradox could also be due to lack of knowledge about time travel, because when you go back in time to kill your grandfather, you are not going back to your own history, but a copy of your history, and everything that you do in this version of your history will affect the alternate future of that universe and not your own. These are just wild theories, as we still haven't explored time travel and we still have a lot to learn about the universe as a whole. So it's clear that if you want to go back in time, you will have to fight the laws of physics, as some processes are reversible and some are irreversible. You can't reverse the effects of an avalanche or a similar catastrophic event, which is why going back in time might not be possible, nor ever likely to be. The closest thing that we could do when it comes to time travel would be to learn why we are here and how we ended up on this planet. This way, we would be putting ourselves in someone else's shoes from a long time ago. That could be one form of time traveling, because your mind in itself has got unlimited potential, and this might be our best way to experience time travel, because with the right details, you might be able to transport yourself back in time without the fear of messing up with the laws of physics. With the rise in interest in virtual worlds like the metaverse, we might be able to recreate what the past looked like, and that might be one form of time travel that we can do today if you really want to experience what time travel looks like. Maybe time travel is not a wise move because of all the deadly diseases that we dealt with in the past. Modern medicine has been pretty effective in fighting so many diseases that killed millions of people in the past, all thanks to several vaccinations, because of which diseases like smallpox have been completely wiped out. But history can be repeated too, especially if you are a time traveler, because you bring modern-day contagious diseases like Ebola to the past, or get sick in the past and never make it back to the present. So, you get it. It's quite complicated, as small actions can have huge unexpected consequences, and you could even mess up history very badly. Not something that you would want to do. If you travel back in time or forward in time, you'll also be greeted with a cultural shock, because the world is evolving at a rapid pace, faster than you could time travel. Now it's time to address the elephant in the room. Could aliens time travel to Earth? Well, aliens might have to deal with the same laws of physics that we deal with on our planet. They may not be able to travel faster than light. Therefore, they cannot travel time. If they could, they might have already visited us, but we don't have any evidence for that. Maybe they might have visited us and they might have wiped out the evidence too, because if a civilization is so advanced that they could time travel, and they could even visit another civilization, they might as well wipe out any evidence for their existence. In fact, alien civilizations might be so restricted that they might not even be able to travel to our planet, or maybe they might have already spent millions of years finding signs of life on other planets, and they might have wasted a lot of energy doing so, which forced them to completely stop searching for other life forms. Also, it's incredibly expensive and time-consuming for these aliens to send a spacecraft to Earth, which could take thousands of years, and they also need to fast travel at least the speed of light, which in theory is impossible. But we may never know, because we have never tried time travel, nor have we made any contact with aliens, which means everything is quite speculative as of now, because the only time travel we know is moving forward. But we might be able to create a new breakthrough technology that would allow for us to travel like Doctor Who.